As promised, though, gosh, the world is moving fast at the moment. We're joined by one of the newly minted ministers, and we originally wanted to get him on, to say congratulations, to talk about road speed limits. We've had this ferry thing come up, and I was just looking at his thing. He's also Minister of Local Government. Let's see how much he can handle. Simeon Brown, Minister, welcome to the platform. Congratulations.
Good morning, Sean. Good morning.
All right, let's start where we were going to quickly. Boy, on this program in the last year, since last Christmas actually, people saying things like, why am I driving 80 here when it was 100k there? Well, I know we've had people on the Wairarapa complaining about the new reduced speed limits. People having something as simple as their GPS device not matching what it says the speed limit is on the road, right? So this was a huge problem. What is the deal now? What is the rule of thumb for people hitting the road these holidays?
So this week we started the process of reversing Labor's blanket speed limit reduction policy. The first stage was this week putting a stop to any new blanket speed limit reductions under the prior rule.
Yeah.
All road controlling authorities, NZTA, and all councils were required to put in place what is called a speed management plan, and through that effectively give effect to the government's policies of reducing speed limits. They had to consult on that by the 29th of March 2024. So we have put a stop on that. We've said that's now a discretionary activity and there's no dates involved. And I've written to all road controlling authorities asking them to down tools, because I will be rewriting the land transport setting of speed limit rule in the early new year, in which they will have to go through a process of actually putting in place a much more balanced approach to setting speed limits in New Zealand. So this is the first step. It's basically a stop work notice.
Okay.
The next step is rewriting the speed limit rule, which is actually going to be a much more balanced approach to setting speed limits. We think that people should be able to move quickly and safely around their cities and regions. We don't think blanket 30-kilometre speed limits in our cities is appropriate. We think where speed limits can be increased safely, they should be. So we're going to be requiring a much more balanced approach, taking into account travel times, economic impacts and safety when setting speed limits going forward.
Here is the practical problem I see these holidays in the next couple of months, Simeon. You know, back in the day, 2 or 3 years ago, open road speed limit 100k or 80k, and there'll be a sign telling you. That is not the case anymore. And 50k in town, but you always drive to the conditions, right? And there are rules, and there have long been rules about school buses and bus stops and things. I just see a problem that we're going to have people saying, oh, the speed limit here, they dropped it down to 70 or 80k, and then someone else said, no, it's open speed limit 100k. That causes all sort of friction and tension on the road. So what rule of thumb should people use? I can also see an absolute flurry of people challenging speeding fines. Well, I thought the new government had changed it back.
Well, the first point I'd make is that people have to abide by the law, regardless of whether they like it or not. So I encourage everyone to follow what the posted speed limit is and keep within that. But I do understand the confusion that, you travel down some roads now, it goes from 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 and then back to 40. It's getting very confusing for people. And so we do want to have a much more balanced approach. So we are in the process of rewriting the rule to get a much more balanced approach to setting of speed limits in New Zealand. We are working through that process at pace. We will be consulting on a new rule in the early new year. But in the meantime, I do encourage all motorists to travel within the law.
All right. Simeon, I also noticed you're Minister of Local Government. Have you read the piece in the spin-off about the cancellation of the Fantastic Beasts exhibition at Auckland War Memorial Museum, which is, of course, administered by a local body, being the Auckland Council?
No, I haven't had the privilege of reading that article. I'm sorry.
All right, it's very interesting, and it shows that basically rainbow tick activists, just a couple of them, took what would have been Auckland War Memorial Museum's most profitable and, if you like, model sustaining exhibition, a J.K. Rowling derivative thing called the Fantastic Beasts exhibition, and a couple of people, because it's rainbow tick, caused so much problem or created a fear of cancellation inside the organisation that despite the fact that management and the vast majority of staff wanted it, it was cancelled and a huge opportunity was lost. Do you think that's right?
Well, I mean, ultimately, on to 2 points I'd make to that. Firstly, we've got far too much cancel culture in New Zealand, where people don't like things, they just cancel them.
Yeah.
Actually, we do need, I believe in freedom of expression. I believe that we should be able to express ourselves, and actually we shouldn't be bullied by people who...
But we have,
don't
and
wanna...
a lot of government departments, Minister, are signed up to the Rainbow Tick organisation, which is literally an organised bullying organisation for the LGBTQI community.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I'd say is that I don't agree with cancel culture. I think people have a right to express themselves, and that goes in multiple ways. But the second point I'd make is that actually, in regards to local government, my message to local government is that they should be focused on the efficient delivery of infrastructure and local services. That is their job. Yeah. That is what their focus should be.
All right, let's talk about some infrastructure, because the story that broke yesterday, and it's a huge... We've just had Nick Leggett on from Infrastructure New Zealand. This ferry decision, and as the shareholder of Kiwi Rail, the government has simply said, you said it was going to be $1.5 billion, it's now going to be $3 billion, no more. You've got to find another solution to the ageing, government-owned ferry fleet. We seem to have a private enterprise outfit that are doing a little bit better. Are you concerned as Minister of Transport that there is now uncertainty over that vital link between North and South, our two main islands?
Well, the first point here is that we had to say no to more funding because the cost of this project was just simply exploding. It had reached $3 billion and there was no sign that it was going to stop. And so the reality is there needs to be another look at it. That's our message to Kiwi Rail. We do need to have a safe and reliable service between across the Cook Strait. It's a critically important connection, transport connection. But the reality is the investment also needs to be cost effective. And that was certainly not what we were seeing from what Kiwi Rail was putting forward. And so the ball's back in their court now to relook at the options. There are other options that they have available to them. They need to look at those at pace. They need to make sure they're maintaining their boats appropriately. That has been another major issue. If you remember the incident earlier this year, they forgot to replace a valve, $150 valve. Actually, that is very poor maintenance practice, which they should have addressed far more urgently. So they have a job to do, one, to make sure they're maintaining their existing fleet, and two, they now need to look very quickly at finding what that alternative might look like for that resilience.